All right, we're gonna. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Avini Vibes. It's always a pleasure to join in a special community of people that really want to make a difference in the world. I'm your host, Christine Rolando from Work New York. Carol, oh my God, Carol, co-host, always there. Couldn't do it without Carol. She's like the techie of she knows how to fix anything. So God bless you, Carol, for all you do. And we're really glad that you survived the storm in Bradenton, Florida. So we're glad that you are well. And all those people that are dealing with any crisis, from the storm. We were just in Arlington, Virginia, and I met a gal, and oh my gosh, she's a new distributor with Avini, but she's homeless. And I was hoping that she would join us tonight. Her house got washed away. So, I've been talking to her for the last 2, 3 days, and who knows, maybe she'll wind up right here at my house. So that's what we do at Avini. We don't make any medical claims. And listen, we're here to educate. We're here to learn from one another. We're here to encourage one another on our health journeys. We're so blessed to have the opportunity to sit with three incredible men and that have formed this company through hardship and trials. But we're going to hear tonight about Arlington experience at the conference. But our biochemist says, and probably some of you could say this, what a clean body fixes itself. So that's what's important. A clean body fixes itself. And more importantly, we're here again to learn from one another. And tonight we're excited because when you go to conference, you meet people, you meet different people. And I was so blessed to meet Dr. Marion, and she and I got a chance to chat at the end of the conference, and she turned me on to something really cool, which I knew, but Adelta and Deborah were with me. And she said, I found this great restaurant in Arlington, Virginia for Peking duck. So we went and had you never know what you'll learn in Avini. So Peking duck was amazing. So let me just ask you a question. I want to start with this. Do you think you're toxic? Now, many of you are already distributors and been involved with Avini, but it's important to understand. Do you think you're toxic? Well, I never thought I was because I eat clean. I'm pretty neurotic about it. Since 1980, I read a book by Dr. Robert Haas because I was an equestrian competitive person that wanted to be at the height of my game. So I was going to say, how can I be the most competitive? So I ate really good. I ate right. And Dr. Robert Haas was the nutritionist for Martina Navratilova, Olympic tennis player. So I thought I can do this. And I ate kind of like got rid of sugar. Sorry, Chip. Got rid of sugar. But, still we are exposed to volatile organic compounds. So I was walking my dogs yesterday and this big truck drove by, and I live in the country in Warwick. It's beautiful, but a big truck drove by, and all of a sudden, I don't know if it's a curse or a blessing. I have a nose that can smell a frozen chicken a mile away. And this truck drove by and he hit his brakes, and all of a sudden I got this big woof of, oh, that was awful. Like, wow, I just breathed that in. And then yesterday it was chilly in New York. So I walked through my living room and I put the heat on, and also my furnace kicked on. And all of a sudden, because I could smell it come through, we have a house that the fireplace starts in the basement and goes up through the center. And when the furnace kicked on, I could smell it. And I thought, oh gosh, I'm breathing that in. So what's that all about? What is my body doing with that? So I'm asking you, are you toxic? Maybe eat clean, maybe do all the right things. But that's what we're here to discuss tonight. We're here to talk about how you can better clean your body with something very simple like a cell defender. And we're excited tonight because we have Dr. Marion, welcome. Come and join us. And we want to hear your story and your take. We were just in Arlington together, and we'd like to hear a little bit about your story, if you don't mind.
Sure. Am I unmuted?
Yes, you're unmuted.
Okay.
So join us.
Hi.
Warm welcome.
I'm Marion. Some people call me Dr. Marion, but usually I prefer Marion. I am a retired internist And that was a long time ago in my last life. And I retired when I was widowed and came to Charlottesville, Virginia, because both kids were here doing their graduate school. Anyway, my journey with Avini began actually April 3rd of this year, about 7 months plus ago, when I decided to call my previous sponsor for several products more than 10 years ago. Had not called her since then because I was busy with life here, even though I was retired, and asked her, hey, Marge, what products are you dealing with? Because she had introduced me back then to even Wayora, some coral calcium product, some Energy One with Omega, and I probably missed a few, but had not kept in touch with her. And so when I called her up, she actually gave me two companies. And I go, oh my, two companies. Let me look at the first one. I looked at the first one, called her back the next day and said, I can't be dealing with discount airfare, discount cruise lines, discount hotels. So I said, what's the other company? And she said, well, you might remember the zeolite from that one company. I said, oh yeah, I remember that. I had used a product for a short period of time, but didn't follow it up because I was younger, didn't have any symptoms, and didn't know any very sick people who needed it. And frankly, there were no testimonials at that time. So I said, I remember the mushroom drops too, even back then. And so I said, yes, let me look at the company. And so she gave me the name of Avini. And I looked it up and I go, oh my gosh, this is the missing link in my life, because for 20 years, I've been looking at all products, anti-inflammatory, antioxidants, energy products, and I knew they had their place and I would buy them all, never prescribed to any patient except those I may know very well, and ask them to look at it or gave it to them. And so I called Marge back in 20 minutes, actually. I didn't even study all the testimonials. I maybe looked at a few of them. I said, I'll study this later, but we're all toxic. We all have heavy metals. And even though I was fortunate to be very healthy up to 3 years ago, doing everything that I did, I felt like I was overloaded in life, and medicine in the old days and the current days, pretty rough business. And also raising two children and trying to be at home and be available for them. It was a harder life, I think, because women in our days of med school were less than 10% in the class. So basically, I was working as hard as a man, but not getting that much more money because I didn't work that many hours in order to be a hands-on mom. So once I saw that these products were for me, I started studying them. I ordered the products, signed up that afternoon, April 3rd, received all the products April 8th, and started taking them and started talking to everybody. I said, look at this, look at these testimonies. I never was able to reproduce a single story in my own practice. I got people out of the hospital, got them discharged from the ICU, and always felt like, don't let anyone die on my watch. And that was pretty good. So, and I had a senior geriatric practice, worked at Walter Reed before, and it was very hectic schedule. In those days, we had no cell phones. We were carrying beepers. Beeper goes off, you stop everything in your life, and you pick up all night, all day, on call every third night, every third weekend. So it was pretty stressful. I'm thankful I was well enough to handle that until 3 years ago. But I retired long ago when I was widowed because I knew that I would die if I continued at the pace I was going. And it was a good call at that time. And not that I retired from life, I was still busy because one of my senior patients followed me here to Charlottesville since I was her power of attorney. She had no family. So basically, I was taking care of like an elderly parent for about 12 years till she died at 97, right before the pandemic. So, and her two sisters had died already. I was power attorney for them also. So it was pretty busy life. When I moved, they moved. They moved practically 3 times with me. So packing, unpacking, did all that. So Anyway, um, within, as I was telling everybody about the products, I was also experiencing within 3 weeks, amazingly, a few stories of my own. I burned myself boiling fig jam. I was making fig jam because my daughter has a fig tree. And so I was making jam, and the boiling jam came over on my forearm. You know how that feels. Ouch, ouch, ouch. And instantly I had the Plus Relief Oral Spray on the kitchen counter, and I didn't even want to squeeze the gel. I was hurting fast enough, and I sprayed instantly. The pain went away, but it came back within a minute. I went back to spray it again, and this time it went away. And in 90 minutes, the redness disappeared. So I go, oh, wow, cool. At that time, I didn't have the roller open at that time. So all I did was use just the spray as fast as I could. And I would tell everybody, you don't have time to be squeezing gel when you're hurting acutely. So 3 weeks from taking the Cell Defender and all the other, I think I was taking the Immunity, the Nano Silver, had not started the fiber yet. But 3 weeks into this, I had my ophthalmology appointment, which I go every 6 months for the past 17, 18 years here in Charlottesville because of high eye pressure that he's following. And when the tech took the pressure, she goes, gee, it's awfully low. And I said, well, isn't that good? And she said, well, you're never low. So I said, well, okay. So when the doctor came in, he said, let me put some more drops in your eyes and see, double check her numbers, and same numbers. And I could see his little head being scratched, wondering, perplexed, why would that be? Of all these, every 6 months I go in, it's never low. But I was actually laughing internally because I knew what did it. But I wasn't going to say anything at that time because I'm going back actually in 6 months from then, which would be next month. So I go, wow. And then, of course, since then, I've read all the stories of people with lowering of the pressure when they go see their eye doctor too. So I'm not surprised at all. I was just surprised that I was only 3 weeks into the product and didn't even think anything about it when I went to the eye doctor, that it would even show a change. So I was able to tell that to everybody I knew. And I would say half my crowd of sick people, I have a lot of sick peers, unfortunately, because I was wondering, these people stage 4 bad cells, what do you do with them? So I felt like I could at least offer them a whole new company to look at, and told them to continue doing what they're doing, but look at this, please. So I would say half my crowd agreed to start, half kind of laughed and probably are still laughing, but I haven't given up on them. So I was able to move up in rank in that first month when you all were at convention. And the next month, I moved up a little bit more. Unfortunately, I caught COVID right at that time. So I had 100-degree fever on the last day of May, trying to see where I was going. Did not plan on a business, but I go, gee, this is kind of neat. Haven't done this kind of business before, but the products are paid for. So what can I say? And the grand thing about this is I am still paying a renewal fee for one company from 25 years ago because I thought, well, I made that little rank, I can still get it wholesale. So I'm still paying an annual fee, even though I'm not buying anything. But here, with no annual fee, to tell everybody is like a lifetime membership. How can you get a membership like that? And people might laugh a little bit. And in fact, I have someone recently who said, I don't want to sign up as a member. And I go, wait a second, you have the blood pressure issue, you have the cholesterol, you have the prostate issue. You want to order everything one at a time retail. I said, maybe you might want to reconsider looking at it from a wholesale point of view. So I'm still working with him. But I love the products. So basically with my own testimonial, talking to people, made the ranks a little bit higher each time. I'm still hovering where I am, but that's okay. I'm a retiree with no, what's the word? I don't have a deadline. Someone can't say to me, you must do this by this time. So that's the relaxing part of it. If it happens, it happens. When it happens, it happens. And so that's the fun part of it.
Well,
Uh,
that's the beauty of this. And I wanted to just back up a minute because when you first started, you and I had an opportunity to talk in Arlington, Virginia, and we were with, 56 people, and we were with the CEO and Rik and, our biochemist. And it's just brilliant. Like, if you weren't there, like, I urge you to go to Boca Raton to hear the brilliance that really this company is about. But what you started with Cell Defender? You started
I
with the Cell
started with
Defender?
Cell Defender, the Nano Silver, and the Z Immunity immediately because I figured my body's toxic. I mean, even though I have joint issues, I tried to delay surgery for as long as I could. And I knew mechanically it's like, you have to change your wheel. If you have a wheel problem, even if you have a brand new tire, it's not going to be good. So I knew the writing was on the wall that I had to have a replacement. I did all the PT, the chiropractor, did the shaman, did the energy, did did everything, did all the collagen peptides, all the anti-inflammatory, whatever I could have done, I did to delay surgery. And part of it was I was still suffering from PTSD from GYN surgery 3 years ago and almost died in the recovery room. And so there was no rush to be under the knife again. And I thought,
Mm.
well, gee, when your blood pressure drops to 60 and they tell you that you were resuscitated and you needed 7 units of blood and be in the ICU for another 5 days, you kind of think like, well, there must be a reason why I'm still alive. Maybe it's a fun project waiting for me here.
And you found it. This is for sure.
Well, I think
Avini's
Avini
a fun project.
fits the project. I'm not charging my phone. I'm on low battery. Let me do
All right.
that here.
So while you're
Uh,
charging your phone, I just want to reach out to Chip for a minute. And I would like Chip always jumps in to share a little bit about. We have some guests tonight to understand a little bit about the cell defender. Why does it clean our body? That's kind of the question that just came up in the text. Well, how does cell defender clean our body from toxins? Chip, do you mind?
Okay, we got a new thing to add today because Marcy was thinking and thought of it. And so in the past, and Rik says this more complicated. I usually say it more complicated too, but I love the way Marcy has started saying how Cell Defender works. If you were trying to do what Dr. Marion was saying and clean out all this toxic pollution that's accumulated in you, the things that we had before product wise were like a broom. You'd go in and start sweeping around in there like EDTA and chelation and greens and whatever you might be able to do to get your bowels moving or get the toxins moving, have another chance to remove them. It was like going in with a broom, right? So Rik Deitsch just invented the vacuum cleaner. I think everybody gets that like instantly, right? So
Yeah.
what's the difference? It doesn't have the dust all flying around in the air. It sucks it all up. It attracts it, traps it, holds it within, and then you can carry the bucket out and dump it, which is essentially done through the kidneys, safer, easier for the kidneys. I just thought that was so easy to understand. And what an advancement. I mean, go to the vacuum, you know, area of any appliance store, there's lots and lots of cool vacuums. And guess what? Everybody already has lots of vacuums. Not just one, most everybody has several vacuums, right? And so here we come with perhaps the most important application of that idea. And you could go back to the uses of zeolite over time. There's industrial uses, kitty litter, keeping cake mix from clumping up, used in animal feeds to keep them from sticking to equipment, that kind of thing. And here we come, and Rik Deitsch looks at it. He says, well, that stuff is full of poison. You wouldn't want to put that in your body, but he ran into a couple of guys from Croatia, and they showed him a study on dogs. And they were putting this intravenously into dogs with tumors, and the dogs were getting better. And he, at that time, was the lead product formulator for Rexall Corporation. And he said, well, let me take a look at it. And they came back, hoping he'd say, yeah, we'll take it. We'll sell it for you. And he said, you guys, there's just two things you need to do. You don't have any control of the particle size. So I think when you take it, it's largely trapped in the gut if you take it orally. So then you got to put it intravenously into the dogs in your trials. I just came from a place where I had to hurt people to help them. My goal is not to hurt people to help them, not to risk something to help people. I would like to help people to help them. I think everybody can understand and say that, right? You don't really want to get a needle stuck in your arm and have your zeolites put in there already dirty. And the other problem he said is it's already dirty. And I see what it did. I believe in your study it was well done, but he said I'm not interested in the product until you solve those two problems. Well, they were heartbroken. They didn't want his ideas. They wanted his billion-dollar marketplace. Mm. So it kind of, fell away. They didn't do it. He didn't do it with them, but it haunted him. He looked at it. He saw the things that needed to be done. And he just kept thinking, it's brilliant. If we could solve those two problems, it's brilliant. And so he started working to make it smaller. Now, for the product to move forward in the plant, it has to be small. It takes 5 microns or smaller to leave the gut and circulate systemically in the body fluids. The product that we make is now under a micron, and the part that goes into the cell defender is about half a micron in size. Wow. So when you take it, it leaves the gut, circulates systemically in the body fluids, goes everywhere. And it's like a little vacuum cleaner. Now I'll go back to my old language. It attracts, traps, transports, and safely, gently facilitates excretion of these pollution toxins in the urine. And when you have that happen, when you get just that little bit cleaner, remember this is fought on a parts per billion level. If it was parts per million of mercury, cadmium, lead, and arsenic, you'd be dead already. They're that poisonous. So it's picking things up in its tiny little vacuum cleaner in parts per billion. And when you do that, the poisons had been competing for space with biologically active metals in your body. So instead of taking some zinc or taking some phosphorus or taking, any of the biologically active metals, magnesium, you can't take enough of those to drive the poisons away because the poisons occupy the space so tightly. You can't get at them. That's why we started with a broom, sweep them up and hope they go out this time, but then they'd get stung someplace else. Now here we come with Rik Deitsch and his little molecular vacuum. Suck it up, trap it. Now it's not dangerous anymore. And immediately, listen close, every single metabolic function starts running cleaner and better. That begins immediately. People says, how soon does this happen? Well, you take it the next time you pee, you're peeing poison. Immediately, every metabolic process starts running cleaner. One of the metabolic processes is to replace all of your cells, right? You're constantly replacing yourself. Unfortunately, as we age, we get worse and worse copies because we're dirtier and dirtier. Well, now, as we age, we're cleaner and cleaner if we're Avini assisted, right?
Oh, I like that. Avini assisted, Chip.
That's a big word. That's a big idea. And you can use that. That's Avini assisted. You can use it. She's an Avini assisted equestrian. I don't care what you're doing or who you are. I love that word, Avini assisted dialysis. If you're on a dialysis machine, it can only take so much. Avini assisted exercise, Avini assisted weight loss program, Avini assisted. Languaging is so handy. Vacuum used to be a broom. Now we got a vacuum. We invented the vacuum, the itty bitty pollution vacuum. But
well, let me ask you a question.
One last thing.
Okay.
One last thing before you ask it. So when you replace yourself, now you replace yourself more frequently with better cells. So you begin to take on attributes of a younger, livelier Christine Rolando. Okay, I'm ready. I want to make those 2 points together. So it's fast and it's slow. Both. It's fast and slow.
Well, does anybody on this call want to have a younger version of yourself? Because I know Carol Witt's a younger version of herself when we've known each other a long time, and Hannah and many of us are younger versions of ourselves because we're cleaning our body, right? A
So
cleaner
look how
body can
quickly
fix
she's
itself.
picking up the language. Look how quickly. And that's what makes your conversations work. All of a sudden now she's going to be able to do the broom vacuum thing, the Avini assisted thing, and the younger version of yourself thing. Boom, you good enough. Good enough, right? She's ready to go. She's ready to go out, turn her loose on the public.
So I just wanted to share something that I just experienced. You know, many of you know that I have a son that struggled with he had a motorcycle accident, broke his back, had a traumatic brain injury. And, you know, it's been 12 years now. So today he got a letter in the mail and I actually met with his team because being that he is on, you know, he's got a disability, I met with his team. You know, he's got like 4 doctors, but I'm the hub of the team. And I have a sister that many of you don't know, but if you met her, you'd never forget her. She's a law professor, but she fights for the behalf of special needs. Spoke at the UN on Autism Day. Big, you know, changer. She's a world changer. But today I got a letter from his provider, and it said, "Dear," I'll just call him Sam. "Dear Sam, you had to fill out a survey, and our goal shows that you didn't get a booster or vaccinated. And our activity intervention is that we want you to get this vaccination. Get your blank vaccination as advised." Then it says goal, get your flu vaccination because you haven't had a flu vaccination. The activity. So this is like when you deal with someone on these issues, you have your goals and your activities. And then it said, goal, get your flu vaccination by 10/16 as advised by your doctor. See your doctor to discuss the flu vaccine. Then it went on to said, goal, get your pneumonia vaccination by 10/16. Activity, see your doctor to discuss pneumonia. Then it went on to say, goal, get your shingles vaccination by 10/16. Activity, intervention, see your doctor to get your shingles vaccination. And on and on. There were 8 more. I don't want to take any more time. So should I send them to the doctor to do all that, Chip? I don't know.
You know,
I know, but I'm just throwing it out there.
well, short answer, that's very, very dangerous. Short answer, no. Maybe something in there would be of use. Here's my personal story, and I think you can easily relate it to that letter. So when I was a young man, I was in special forces. I had my own special forces team in the Air Force, and I was on worldwide 24-hour mobility. That means I had to be any place in the world by the next morning if something happened. Therefore, if you saw it on the news, I got the shots for it every month. Well, how do vaccines work? You know, just back to your basic biology class. How do vaccines work? They challenge your immune system, right, Dr. Marion?
They do challenge. They do live virus or dead virus.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then your immune system has to respond and create a defense, right? And then hopefully when the bad thing comes along, you're better prepared to handle it. So, you know, sometimes maybe that's a good idea, but if you challenge, it is entirely reasonable to hit a breaking point. And the immune system just can't do it anymore. Yeah. And your entire immunity collapses. And that scenario that she just described, to me, if I was looking at a scenario to intentionally collapse someone's immune system and to be god awful harsh to shorten the length of their treatment going forward, that'd work great. that would shorten lifespan. I would expect that to shorten lifespan dramatically. That's what I would expect.
Well, the good
Why
news
would they want to do that?
The good news is I'm sitting in his office right now, and I have this. I gave him, you can't see it, but this is what he's
Yeah.
using. He's using nano silver, he's using the mushrooms, and he's using Cell Defender. And, we got our little black bag. I call it my battle bag, or battle bag, that we offer other alternatives for that, because I couldn't possibly send them and have all those things done, in good conscience all at once, for sure. But thank you, Chip, for sharing that.
Well, it's gigantic, and it reminded me of one other thing, and this will make your skin crawl as well. When we were in Las Vegas, people invite people in to our meetings at the last summit. And a guy came in with somebody and sat down with them, and turned out, he was in really difficult financial times. And he was sitting behind me and off to the left a little bit. And it filtered up to me that for his tight financial times, he could get $100 for taking a booster. And part of his financial plan, if he was broke, he'd go out and get another booster, another $100, another booster, another $100. If that doesn't make you, that's going to collapse the immune system. You can't, your immune system can only handle so much. It can't look every direction. It can't fight every country in the world on one day. We got to pick something to deal with. And I'm not saying that it isn't, a brilliant idea, but it's a brilliant idea gone bad in that letter. To me, it is anyway. Did it strike you that way, Christine? I don't want to say
Well,
something.
absolutely. I feel like I know better, I might not have a PhD, but I think I know better from my experience in wellness, and in my own personal journey of dealing with wellness for 37 years or 38 years. So, Dr. Marion, I'm grateful that you're here to share your experience. You are an MD, retired internist, and you've seen it. So that's why collaboratively we're here, just to share experiences and miracles. And that's where I wanted to go for a minute. Do you want to share a little bit about Gail tonight with our listeners?
The actual Arlington meeting on Saturday. So where I come from, knowing I was on the product, loved the products, decided that I was well enough 3 months after the second hip to make the trip up to Arlington. Everyone said, "Are you bringing your cane? Are you bringing your walker?" I said, "No, I'd have to be wheeled out of there if I need my cane, So I did fine. I'm glad I did. And so the highlight of the meeting on Saturday was, number one, you got to see corporate, everybody there. Neil, Rik, Duck, Chris Bruce, Michael from compliance, MJ. It's like, MJ was at our table even. So everyone that I've seen on avinihealthtraining.com, I was able to see live there. And Gail, whose story I had already seen on the Real Avini Win site, I knew about that and had sent that out to everybody in my team already. So I was very inspired to see her there and how she looked, and everybody was oohing and eyeing that what a change, what a dramatic change from her long, over 10 years journey of having bad cells affecting her whole facial features. She was basically disfigured, eyeballs, eye, face, and to see that she was introduced by Sandra Thornton to Avini products in 2021, and that's like a 3-year since she's been on the product. It proves that you can't expect results overnight when it's taken that long for bad things to happen. And she's the perfect example of sticking it out. And that's what I would use for some of my stage 4 people, because they're all saying, well, I don't feel anything different. It's been 5 months. And I would say, You're not going to feel anything different. If your oncologist has just told you he's not worried about any bad cells, hey, you're hurting, but that's from other reasons. So a lot of times when you're dealing with very sick people, it's very hard to motivate them to listen to you when they're in pain and discomfort and discouraged and most likely depressed. So I think Gail's story there was a real winner as far as being inspiring for me, my team people, and I think to use her example for other conversations with newbies. And because where else are you going to find a story like this? It's impossible. Well, I should say there are some Chinese herbs in the community which are 100% mushroom powder that has the spores and the combination that I've heard of in the community where stage 4 have done very well with them. So you might hear stories like that, but to have our 1,500 testimonials, it's unheard of. People might even say it's too good to be true, but it is true. It's not fiction. It is true. So Gail's was one highlight. Hearing all of the corporate people talk obviously was wonderful. Getting all my questions answered was great. And I forgot to ask one question. Maybe Chip knows. I thought I heard somewhere that the oral plus relief has, not the oral plus relief, but the gel has some alcohol as a agent in it compared to the oral one, which is for orally, but whether the gel has some alcohol in it or not, I thought I heard it somewhere, but I forgot to ask that of Rik.
It does have something in it that is an alcohol base, and I'm not sure I can say it right now, but he has told us that it's safe to take internally if you wish.
Okay.
Wow. He said, I put no effort into making it taste good, but some people, because of the large 8-ounce pump,
right,
they're using a lot of it. And I've done that, frequently. Just put a squirt of that in your mouth and swallow it. It works good. You can hold it in your mouth and clean the oral cavity as well. But yes, it is one of the questions. I think it's one of the agents, because when you create a gel, it needs to have a certain texture and it needs to be able to move through the skin, and it needs to not leave a sticky mess on you. And so those are the things. And also when we talk about our gels, the nano silver, we always, kind of think, well, we're not a cosmetic company, but some of the people have started putting it on their skin. I see.
Look, Carol.
Yeah, like our most animated face of all time is even more animated right this moment. Yep. And so I learned that from Carol, started doing it, and I'll be doggone if it doesn't make your skin better. So yes. Delta's raising her hand too. Yeah. I wanted to just say real quick, I think this is one of the biggest groups we've had on Avini Vibes. Great one for you to come. I had run into Dr. Marion some time ago when I heard her earlier this week, and I like her perspective, the way she presents herself, her voice. I think is I think a lot of people really will learn from her. And I love. I was there with Sandra and Al Thornton and Gail Braxton when she was in such trouble. She essentially had tumors in a specific kind, in a particular place, and what it does is it pushes your eyeballs right out of your head. And I'm not telling, it's not just a little bit. It was, to me, frightening, but she was indomitable. Gail Braxton, from the first moments I met her clear till now, it's like the perception you got from her, even when she was in such horrible disfigurement and such, looked like life-threatening trouble, it was as though she thought she was part of a miracle and she was living it at that moment. That was what you got from her. It was just, boldness and courage and upbeat, what an amazing, amazing human to meet. Did you get to meet her in person too, Dr. Marion?
I did not go up there to meet her during all the intermission and the lunch because I was busy cornering Rik to answer my question. So,
Okay.
but my team member Susan and her husband, and they got to talk to her.
She
I
is
had
like
the
little
opportunity
Miss
to talk
Positive.
to her. I had the
Oh, tell
opportunity to
about it.
talk to her. And first of all, I went up to her and I loved the color of her sweater. She had a sweater on like Lisa Will's color. Like she was dressed amazing. But what really broke my heart is the story she told that I videoed her. So I have a clip if you want it, just put it in the chat. But so powerful because she showed the before picture, the picture that when she went in the grocery store, she said was sad because little kids would run and hide behind their moms because she was so grotesque. And then to hear her tell the story about this is what I look like now because the cell defender, it really blessed my heart to hear her that she didn't give up and now she's a new woman. Like she's a new woman and she's sharing it. And that's why we're here tonight, to share stories like that. And some of us don't have like those type of stories, but we have stories that change people's lives. Carol, I'm going to just jump over to you for a minute because we're running out of time, but do you mind sharing the story about your brother? Because the audience,
Absolutely.
yeah, tell the story
Absolutely.
about your brother because that's another amazing story.
All right. So, yeah. So, guys, my brother took a vaccine. I'm not going to say which one, but right after he took it, it got taken off the market because there were some very severe symptoms and he got them. And he lived with them for 15 months. 15 months he lived with, and these were the symptoms he dealt with. Double vision, and he is an athlete, guys. He plays pickleball 10 games a day. He was an avid golfer and a trainer. He was very avid athlete. And when that all went south for him, he got the double vision, he got the ringing in his ears where he literally could not hear you say what you were saying to him because it was so loud. And then he lost the strength in his jaw to chew. What kind of life is that? He really went from a full life to literally a quality of life that he didn't want to keep living. And I shared with him and I said, Dean, I said, I don't know what this is going to do for you, but I know what it did for me. And if it does even half of what it did for me, you'll be a happy camper. He took it, and my brother's very skeptical. He does not, say, hey, Carol. No, I asked him in about 3 weeks of him taking Cell Defender, how things were going for him. And he said, jury's still out. I'm not sure, but something's happening. About 2 weeks later, I called him up and I said, okay, tell me what are you seeing? What's happening? And he said, I'm about 90% back. I said, what? He said, yeah. He said, I'm about 90% back. I'm now golfing again. I'm now playing pickleball again. They want me on their teams again. And I said, oh my gosh. And then about, I'm going to say within a month, 100% back. Guys, he's dating again. He's doing things in his life again. He's living his life again because of Cell Defender. And he did tell me this. He will be a lifetime in buying Cell Defender from me. So, yeah. So I'm thrilled. I've got my brother back.
Thank you, Carol. Chip, something just came up in the chat. Thank you so much, Carol. Glad you were bold enough to share this with your brother because I have my brother on it too. And where is she? Deborah met my brother, and my brother, when I saw him about a year ago, his skin was all flaky and he was on like 7 different medications for high blood pressure, this and that and this. And you can tell when you look at somebody's face that you can tell that their liver is in distress when they have this dry, this issue going on. So long story short, he's been on the products now, doing remarkable. And Deborah wants you to come on for a minute and share, if you would, your conversation with my brother. And then Chip, if you would, before we close, just talk a little bit about the heart medication, not medication, the heart product, if you would. Deborah, what you tell my brother?
Hello, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so men are very skeptical. I was just having a conversation with one of my girlfriends, Joan, that I invited to the call. And she was saying she's finally gonna get her husband to take it. But because men are skeptical, they're not easily influenced. But anyway, I was telling your brother that he was talking about losing weight. And I said, well, not even that, fiber, the plus fiber. And he was like, oh, I don't need that. I don't need that. I said, it's not just to make you go to the bathroom. I said, I'm taking it. And it's not, I go to the bathroom, I'm regular. Maybe that must be too much information, but I'm pretty regular. I said, I felt the same way, but once I learned that the fiber and the plus fiber attacks the carbs and the sugar, and it attracts it, so it lowers your A1C level. You don't have to worry about, you know, being you have your A1C level elevated where you're pre-diabetic or you need to go on some form of medication. So you take that two times a day, and before your meal, 10 or 15 minutes before your meal, with 6 to 8 ounces of water or any type of liquid you choose, and watch. You go to the doctor the next time, your A1C levels will be lower. I said to him, if it's not, I'll take you out for a steak dinner. So he was like, ah, okay. So I kept harassing him about it, and I kept saying, you better make sure you get your plus fiber. So he said he may try it, but he said, don't worry. When I see him again, he's going to be about 40 pounds lighter. So we shall see. But it was so nice meeting him, and it just laughed. When we was leaving, we had did a booth, and we was leaving. I said, I know you're glad to see me go, because every time I saw him, I said, that plus fiber, and he was just like, all right, all right.
Well, thank you,
So,
Deborah, because he's doing a lot. Thank you so much, because he started on the Cell Defender and he's doing relatively well, and he lost some weight already, and we took him to the Grand Canyon. He couldn't make it before because he couldn't breathe, but we were able to go to the Grand Canyon during the Avini Summit, and he joined us. But Chip, would you mind talking a little bit about the
nice.
uh, regarding cardio?
We got two things together at that summit, right? We got the mind and vision and the plus cardio, and so amazing additions to our product line. They are multi-ingredient products designed to do specific things to specific systems, but heart required to move blood to do everything, right? So it's foundational. Once again, think about the things that are important about the way your heart works. Electrical, create a rhythm, right? Tiny little bit of electricity has to be created in that pulse and that signal. I think it's like 0.02 millivolts is the message. It's like the control of your car is 12 volt, even though it has a 400 horsepower engine. That electrical needs to have attention done to it. But it's essentially a big muscle. It's a hollow muscle that's a pump. It's part of your plumbing, right? So we need to have the plumbing clear, the muscle strong, and we got to have the valves working and clean so that the ejection fraction, how much is pumped on each stroke, is high. Then we'd like the efficiency of the body that it's supporting to be great, so that it doesn't have to work, and nothing actually happens. It doesn't help much. And so those are some of the things that are interesting. I have one of those watches that Marcy got with her new phone and gave me the watch. And I thought, well, I'll just put it on. And one of the things it shows is today, my range in my heart rate was from 51 to 141. So 51, that's a good sign. If you're able to function, that's a 74-year-old athlete is what you've got there. I started out the morning with 26 miles on the bike. If you are taking a statin for anti-cholesterol drugs, it impedes the function of the liver to lower the cholesterol, which also stops the liver from making coenzyme Q10. There's CoQ10 in your plus cardio product. If you don't have coenzyme Q10, your big muscles get weak. You start feeling heavy. You get leg cramps, that sort of thing. And so whenever we at our pharmacy, got a prescription, you kind of hold your nose sometimes because we're thinking statins are one of the most prescribed, most frequently taken pharmaceuticals that there is. And every time you hand one out the window, you know you could be hurting that person instead of helping them. Well, built into our product is coenzyme Q10 and ingredients to help all those other aspects of heart function. I'm just going to put one thing in on the mind and vision. If you look at it, you notice the pills are a little bit, the capsules are a bit red. So that's the berry that's in it.
Yeah.
And that berry was taken by World War II pilots to improve their night vision. And people using the product notice better night vision. And if you're a person who happens to be like I was, quite sensitive to glare, you preferred dim lights at night, didn't like lights in your eyes, you're more tolerant and your night vision is improved with that. That's just one of the benefits of that product. So kind of tied those two together.
Right? Chip, bilberry?
Yeah, bilberry. And you can chew it up. It's very berry tasting. I always chew up. It's just a weird thing. If you give me something, I always chew it up and eat it first just because I want to feel it. I want to sense it. I want to know more about it. That's one of the things I do to introduce myself. But it's very berry color and very berry flavor. It's bilberry is that miraculous. That's just one of the ingredients in that one.
Thank you, Chip. So we're running out of time.
Can I just add something? I always do this. I have a reason because people that all of a sudden have heart issues. We've talked about the detoxolite and how it helps with things in 30, 60, 90 days. But I've just been listening, and what keeps coming back that I'm learning is about the trim science and how the fat collects the toxins and binds it in the fat. And so, we would need that. The zeolite in the trim science is so very important as another additive to get the inches, to get that visceral fat out.
So that's Dr. Lonke's book that's just come out, Toxic Obesity, and you just spoke eloquently about that. Yes, it is one of the things that needs to go right. There's just a lot of things. We'll do every right thing, at once to get everything going right at once, and look around, look at who's with us tonight. A lot of us are between 70 and 90, and we expect to work together. I mean, we're starting careers intending to work together for at least 20 years, right? I mean, I expect to know you guys and be working side by side with you, and we're not going to be just in North America pretty soon. We don't know exactly where we're going, but I've ridden the world with Rik before. I've had the good fortune to, kind of been with the glacier when it built up and then ebbed back. I think we finally have it organized in such a way that Avini is going to grow and not shrink again. So we will. It's an old network marketing things, but at the end of the meeting, I'll see you on the beaches of the world, everybody.
Amen. Thank you, Chip. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight. Listen, we really want to encourage you to join us every Thursday night. More importantly, make it to Boca Raton. Come to the conference. I'm telling you, your life will be changed. You'll meet people like Marion. You'll meet people that are called to this. This is not a job. This is a mission that we're all on. So you're all called to be here tonight, and I thank you for being here. But I'll see you all at Boca Raton. I'll see you all next Thursday night as well. I see in the chat, those of you that want the clip, I'll go ahead and send it to you, okay? Thank you, Marion, for being here.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Right. God bless
Thank you,
all.
Dr. Marion. That was great. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
See you in
Thank
Boca.
you.
Bye.
Hey,
Wonderful,
Wendy.
wonderful call.
Thank you.
Yeah, I wanted to thank Dr. Marion not only for saying that, but saying she has difficulty with patients that are in pain and discomfort too. And I thought, if she has problems and she's a doc, no wonder we have problems.
And you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for listening to me, the
Oh,
newbie.
my pleasure.
You were
Okay.
awesome. Thank you, Dr. Marion.
Yes,
Oh,
thank
you're
you.
welcome.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you again.
Bye.